What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Bass Lane. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your evening to hop on tonight and just watch the podcast. I appreciate it. Hope you're having a great day. We've got a super cool podcast lined up for tonight with a super awesome guest who is actually the coach of the Carson Newman fishing team. Carson Newman has an extremely, like you see in the title, competitive team. These guys have killed it over the years. They have produced some hammers, no doubt. So we're excited tonight to get to talk about some of that stuff. And Hunter, who is the coach, also fishes the Bassmaster Opens, trying to get onto the Elite Series. So we're going to hear a little bit about that with his experiences with the Opens and also coaching Carson Newman fishing team. But we're going to go ahead and get right into it. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Hunter Sales. What's going on, man?
What's up, guys? I'll apologize off the bat if my picture is a little bad. I'm actually on the way to Pickwick Lake to fish a wild card event, so I'm in a hotel lobby right now. Hopefully, it's not too bad.
Man, doing what it takes to get on the podcast. Yeah, we started a little bit late actually. We were trying to get Hunter's technical difficulties figured out, but we got them figured out best we could.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's an honor to be on, man. You do a great job with this podcast. I'm just excited to kind of dive into some stuff.
Absolutely. So what are you doing right now? What tournament is it actually?
It's a BFL wild card. I'm trying to make the All-American on Cherokee, so I'm trying to go down there in top 6 this weekend.
Okay, is it Pickwick?
Yeah, it's down at Pickwick. Yeah, out of McFarland Park there in Florence.
Okay, so that should be a pretty good tournament, I would think.
Yeah, they should be biting, man. Word on the streets, it's taking some big bags. So we'll see.
Yeah. Logan Parks had some giants, smallmouth too. Smallmouth.
Yeah. So he had like 20. He had like 20 something a day. I mean, he did really good.
Yeah, some big weights for sure. So when's the is it the what'd you say it is the
It's the wild card tournament. So it's like you if you fish 2 in a division and you pay for the rest, you can make that wild card. And so that's what I did this year. I fished 2 Michigan division BFLs and paid for the other 3. So I got to fish this wild card.
Gotcha. So and then you're trying to get to where from the wild card?
So if you finish top 6 in this event, you make the All-American, which is on Cherokee this year.
Okay. When is that?
Yeah. A little home pond action.
Oh yeah, no doubt. When is that?
The All-American, that's a $300,000. It's like the BFL championship essentially.
Okay. What time of year? When is it?
Yeah. May 31st, May 28th to the 31st.
What will they be doing on Cherokee?
Yep. Man, it's going to be post-spawn. That's actually pretty close to the same days where I won a BFL a few years ago. So I'd be pretty excited to get to fish that one.
Oh yeah. That'll be good.
Yeah, that little swim bait is pretty. The little swim bait's pretty special.
Oh yeah, especially on the deep clear lakes. Well, we actually, as I'm sure you know, we have a high school tournament, pretty big high school tournament this weekend on Cherokee. Can you give the boys some insight on and girls some insight on what might be going down this weekend?
Yeah, it's been fishing pretty good actually. You know, if the wind blows, like an A-rig and a crankbait can be really good. And, you know, if you're in the modern era of fishermen, you keep your head down, look at your Liv Scope this weekend, you'll probably do all right.
Okay. A little bit of scoping going on, a little bit of A-rig. Like to hear it.
Yeah.
It's the A-rig bite. Go ahead. Our internet is like, you can tell you're on that hotel Wi-Fi. The A-rig bite hasn't really picked up around here yet. I think it needs to get a little bit colder and then they'll start tuning a little bit better. But caught some on at Hartwell a couple weeks ago. That was fun.
Yeah. The thing on Cherokee, what makes it hard is there's so many striper, man. It's like when you're looking at scope, it's so hard to tell the difference between a big school of striper and some smallmouth.
Yep. Yeah, there's some giants in there too.
There is.
Stripe, yeah. Dang. There's somebody that always posts them out there. I don't know who it is, but like great big ones.
Yeah.
I know Brady always talks about them bending the hooks out on a spook.
Yeah, I think a lot of times in our little inter squad tournaments, I think those guys probably fish for striper a little bit more than they should.
Oh man, I mean, Hey, when they're big like that, I mean, I'd probably make a couple casts at them too.
Yeah.
No doubt, no doubt. So man, I mean, what's going on right now in the college world? I mean, so it's actually like this is just a pure curiosity question that like I have for myself. How exactly does the season run with college fishing? Because I know like high school, it goes with the school year, like starts in August or September, and then it goes on to like May and June. How does it work with college?
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good question. So, obviously, we fish all three major trails. We fish Bassmaster, Major League Fishing, and the ACA, Association of Collegiate Anglers Trail. And they all kind of have different seasons. And so it makes it really
Okay.
confusing.
Yeah.
The School of the Year race that we really try to focus on, we're sitting in second right now. That event, that ranking system starts every year in June and concludes at their championship in May. And so that's kind
Gotcha.
of the season. MLF runs like spring to for starts in the spring and kind of wraps up in the fall. And then Bassmaster is really spring centric. But essentially, it wraps up every year at the end of May. The School of the Year stuff does.
Okay. Okay. How many tournaments a year is that usually?
It's about 15 major events on an average year.
Okay. That's combined all three trails.
It is, yeah, yeah. About 15 major events, and then we have five what we call school ran events. So stuff that either we put on, or another university puts on. So a total of about 20 events each year.
Okay. So I know a little bit about it. And the school run, that's ACA, right?
It is, yeah. So it's like a way. Essentially, it's just another way to get guys on the water and get some bonus points. And you need to fish all the events that they'll let you earn points in. So we
Right.
definitely try to do all of that we can.
So with it being like a school run event, does it take like a certain amount of boats to count for points or how does
Yeah,
that work?
it does. So they actually have a system. If you've got less than 35 boats, it's worth 100 points. And if you get 35 boats or more, it's worth 200 points. And so
Gotcha.
they have a minimum of 5 schools that have to compete for it to count for points at all. And so,
Okay.
that's why you see this year we paid out $5,000 cash in the tournaments we hosted. Kind of just in an attempt to make sure we drew as many boats as we could to those events.
Yeah, for sure. That'll catch some eyes right there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We had the first one we won it. The second one, Lane Clark and Talis Morrison from Erskine won it, and then the third one we won that one this past weekend on Chickamauga. Kaz and Will had an 8.5 pounder, so that helps a little bit.
I saw that. That was a
Yeah,
giant
that was a great
on a
big one.
frog, right?
Yeah, yeah. Kaz has got a funny story on that too. He actually caught it on a 7-foot medium heavy with 40-pound line. So
No way.
yeah,
With a
yeah.
frog.
He said that it was late in the day and he wasn't catching none on his spook, so he just cut his spook off and tied a frog on and hooked an 8.5 pounder in the middle of
Oh
a
my
grass mat.
gosh. No
Yep,
way.
yep.
I'm sure that was fun. About to
Yeah, it was a
smack a
lot
rock.
better. It is a lot better story when you heard Kaz tell it too.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure it is. Kaz is a good dude. I'm sure Kaz could definitely add some interesting thoughts in that story. No doubt.
Oh yeah, he's the storyteller of the team, no doubt.
So Kaz is a storyteller.
That's right. Yeah, yeah,
He's the talker.
I get nervous when he's talking in public. I don't ever know what he's going to say.
Oh yeah. Gotta give him a script. Make sure you don't talk too much.
Yeah.
So how did you get started? So you fish college, right?
Yeah, I fished 2 years. So I played
Okay.
baseball in college for the first 3 years, and then we got the team started kind of the end of my junior year. So I fished one tournament my junior year, and then a whole season my senior year.
Gotcha. So did you kind of help put together the fishing team, or was it a bunch of different guys kind of getting together and doing it, or how did that work?
Yeah, so it was actually it's a really I love telling this story. Me and my college fishing partner, his name's Tristan Stallsworth. He actually still works at the school as the controller now, and so we were both playing baseball, and that there was a college series tournament that came to Cherokee Lake, and so we put together, a little club, and it was just me and Tristan, and we fished in that first event, and it was funny because looking back on it, there was newspaper articles and high school kids reaching out, and everybody was like Carson Newman's starting a fishing team. Well, we didn't even know we were starting a fishing team. We thought we were fishing a tournament,
Yeah.
you know? And so that was really the catalyst. And from there, you know, I sat down with a few of the administrators at the school, talked to my friends who fished at different colleges across the country, and really just had this vision for starting something that college fishermen would be excited to be a part of, you know, and it's been cool to watch what it's turned into today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and much success too along the way.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like kind of got the fishing team started, and then once you graduated, just kind of coached it along the way.
Yeah, they couldn't find nobody more qualified, so they had to settle for me.
Right, right. So whenever you started the team, kinda, did they did y'all have another coach or was it like student ran?
At the start, we were student ran. So we the vice president of enrollment was like our technical club sponsor that we had to have. But essentially, at that point, we were just a club, you know, like a lot of the other schools that compete. And I was the president then, and it kind of just took selling the vision to the university to kind of turn it into an actual team instead of a club.
I gotcha. Okay. How much has it changed? Like, what are, like, the main differences that have changed since you were fishing in college?
Man, it's really kind of cool to see, but it's also mind blowing because when I first took the job, I remember sitting down with the president, and he had me identify 3 different areas that I thought would be obstacles to a college fishing team. And like number one on my list was, I don't know how we're going to find enough people that have boats that can come to college to fish. You know, because
Yep.
at the time, like the high school tournaments had 50, 60 boats. The college tournaments had 100 or so boats. And it was still a big deal. But the magnitude that it's grown to now with high school fishing, 300 boats in each tournament, and college
Oh,
fishing
yeah.
having a waiting list, and man, just the popularity and the amount of guys at your age that are starting to look at fishing as a career option has changed the entire sport, honestly, and for a good, in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how many boats were y'all looking at whenever you first started?
So it was fun. So we have boat storage on campus now for 23 boats. When
Yeah.
we first started the team, I remember going into the CFO's office and saying, "Man, if we could just get storage for 4 boats, we would never ever have to worry about anything." And that was like,
Yep.
it was so nearsighted. And looking back at it now, it's like we don't have enough land to build storage to put all
Yeah.
the boats.
Yeah. So how many boat barns do y'all have now? Like, how many boats can you store on
We
campus?
can store 23 on campus right now.
23. Okay. So definitely grown a little bit since the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah, and those are fully enclosed with security systems, and the school has done a great job giving us what we need for sure. And it's funny because this year we had 23 on campus, and we actually rented a storage unit off campus for one freshman because we were one short, and so it was like, just to see where we're at now versus where we were, just 5 or 6 years ago is really really crazy to see how much it's grown.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, got a question from my dad. Always
Yeah.
happen to get questions. He said, "I'm still confused about the points. Do you have a school of the year for each division, like Bassmaster, MLF, etc., or are they all combined for the school of the year points race?"
Yeah, so MLF does run their own school of the year system, but the one that you most commonly hear people talk about is that ACA school of the year system, because the ACA one encompasses all 3 major trails plus the school ran events, and so that's kind of the one that really shows top to bottom, how strong a team is.
Okay, so the main one, like you say, that's Bassmaster, MLF plus the team ran tournaments.
It is, yeah, no. So that school of the year system that encompasses every major tournament that every school fishes, and so
Okay.
that's why we kind of look at that one, because it's every event. It's not just one division.
Okay, I got you. So does ACA, do they have their own tournaments? Because I know, like, the Big Bass on Kentucky
Yep,
Lake that every year. Is that put on by them?
it is. Yeah, so that's Wade Middleton and the Bass Pro Shops crew. They run the Big Bass on Kentucky, an event on Dardanelle every fall, And then this spring, we've got an event on Lake Hartwell in April, and the championships on Pickwick in May.
Okay. Back on Pickwick. That should be a fun one.
Yeah, no, you can't beat Pickwick in a Maytime tournament, man. That's a blast down there.
Oh yeah. Austin Billingsley asked, how many events are there per year on average? I think we answered that already.
Yeah, about 15 major events. Counting the little stuff we fish, about 20.
And then Grant Thomas, the Dale Hall of Famer, asks, is Carson Newman sending any anglers to the Logan Parks tournament?
We don't have a ton that are actually going down there to fish. I know Taz Anderson's going to fish. I'm not, as far as I know, that's the only one that we have going down there. We're kind of coming off of our busy fall swing. We fished 3 major events and 5 small events. And so with finals week coming up, and I think these guys' attention, is just in other places right now. But that's a super cool event, cool format, and I think it's going to be a big success.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to get down there. I wish I could, experience the practice and the draft and everything, but we'll be at Cherokee Saturday. Kind of wrap up the how's the beginning of the season going?
Man, this fall has been absolutely incredible. Honestly, the team that we have right now, it's such a fun group to be a part of. The talent is like out of this world. These guys are working their butts off. We've had definitely, over the course of this fall, we've been, arguably the best team in college fishing. In 2 out of the 3 major events, we've put 3 boats in the top 10. And so, I mean, it's been a really fun fall, and we're super excited about what the spring could hold for our group, no doubt.
3 in the top 10 at almost every tournament.
Yeah, no, it's been an awesome fall, man. We got a group of we got seniors that are working hard and freshmen that are eager and ready to go. And man, just top to bottom, we got such a great group. It's been a lot of fun this fall.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's fun to watch.
Oh, dude, it's incredible. I get so much more nervous watching their weigh-ins than I ever would fishing. I pace back and forth. I know how bad they want it.
If Craig's watching, that's kind of like my partner's dad at weigh-in. We get up there and he's like pacing back and forth, walking. He's just bouncing around, talking to people, burning up time because we don't ever tell him the truth about what we have. He's just out there guessing.
Yeah.
Speaking of high school, did you fish in high school?
So I fished one event in high school. I fished a Bass Pro Shops high school series event on Douglas Lake. It may have even been the championship. I don't know. There was like 10 boats in it or something. I said, back then it wasn't near as big of a deal. My senior year is when the high school team at Granger County High School got started. And so very minimal. I played baseball, and so it was always hard for me to juggle baseball and fishing.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I went blank. Craig said, get new shoes every week. He's always pacing. So the Bass Pro Trail, which is actually putting on the tournament, link to the tournament this weekend on Cherokee. So that's been around. I'm not calling you old by any means. Don't take offense to this, but it's been around that long.
Yeah, I graduated high school in 2015, and so I think either 2014 or 2015 is when that trail started. And like I said, It was just very few boats, and we were all fishing out of like 18-foot, 1990s boats. Like, it was like very much what you would imagine high school fishing being like. Now you guys are all running around in brand new 2023 21-footers. So I'm a little jealous, no doubt.
Oh yeah. How was so high school fishing definitely wasn't as big as it was back then as it is now. Mm-hmm. But how was the competition? Was it pretty stiff or?
Yeah, I mean it was good. Like I said, I didn't fish a ton, so I don't remember a lot of it. But I know back in the day, it was like Joe Lee, Jake Lee. Jake Lee and his dad Joe. They were always kind of the team to beat. And then Dwayne Wilson's son, and I'm kind of drawing a blank, but Dwayne Wilson's son, whenever we went to Douglas, man, he won every tournament with like 14 pounds because it was a 3-fish tournament. And nobody back then, we didn't know how to find those offshore fish. And so, a lot of the guys that had been doing it for a while, man, they kicked our butts.
Oh, yeah. That's 14 pounds. Did you say 3-fish?
Oh yeah, that championship, they caught them on a big spoon, and we didn't even, because see back then, I mean, there was no Liv Scope, we didn't have none of that, and so it was like, these guys that had been out there and put the time in to find those schools, they didn't get messed with. And so, like, Douglas used to have them back in the day.
Oh, yeah. That's crazy. 14 pounds and 3.
Yeah.
Man, that's a bag.
I felt pretty good with my 6 pounds, but I got my feelings hurt that day.
Guarantee it. So, so that tournament had 6 pounds.
Yeah, I think so. I could be overestimating. It could have been 3 or 4. I don't remember.
How'd you place? Do you remember?
Man, I would be lying if I even said I could tell you. I know we fished Rimmer Creek and we threw a Carolina rig in some shallow grass, and so that tells you back in the day, man, I had no idea what I was doing.
So is there grass on Douglas? Did I not know about this?
Well, it was like flooded. It was just the bank grass, just normal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're fishing like in somebody's yard.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. I just fished around and caught a couple,
Oh yeah, that's great, dude. Grant Thomas, here comes the Liv Scope question. Thoughts on potential FFS banning?
So actually, I spent a day in the boat about 2 weeks ago down at Hartwell with Drew Pridgeon, the lander coach, and then Brandon Cobb. And Brandon Cobb made the comment that you don't realize how close it was to Bassmaster banning forward-facing sonar for this season.
Really?
So I don't believe it's going to happen. But according to my sources, there was a serious conversation where that was very much on the table this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild to think about.
I don't see it happening, but I mean, yeah. He was very serious saying like, man, it was close this year. And I think he was an advocate for kind of getting rid of that.
Yeah. Shallow guy though.
Yeah. Yeah. His buzz, it's hard to look at him eating a buzz bait on forward facing.
No, yeah, that's very true. Unless you're maybe on Hartwell.
Yeah.
So they were, man, that I can't imagine like the Elite Series not having Liv Scope. Like that's pretty wild to think about.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, those guys. I mean, a lot of them make their living doing it, and I'm sure at some point it came down to an angler vote. And a lot of those guys like. I imagine that the majority of those anglers have spent so much time learning the technology. I can't imagine that, too many of them want it gone.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, after, spending that time learning, it'd be hard to turn away from it. I mean, it's such a good tool to use, especially that high up, getting really, really good at it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Austin Billingsley asks, how many states do y'all usually fish per year? Tell us about like some of the places y'all travel to.
Yeah, I've actually got it wrote down right in front of me right now. I've been looking at it today. We go this year, starting in January, we go to the Harris Chain, and then we go to Toho, and then we go to North Carolina, Clarks Hill. We actually have a Douglas event. We'll probably end up at Table Rock. You look at Gunnersville, Sam Rayburn. This fall we were in Arkansas. We've been to New York in the past, and so we travel all over the dang country. It's a full touring schedule. Really gets you ready for. And I don't want to jump ahead, but I think that college prepares you so well for something like the Opens. Where you travel around and. I fished 1 year of college before I jumped into the Opens. And so, I think that the guys now that are fishing 4 and 5 years in college that are getting these national experiences, are going to be so much further ahead when they get ready to make that jump. Like my first time going to Florida, I was blasting off in between Bobby Lane and Brendan Polinick, and that was a weird feeling. I never had even been in the state before.
Oh yeah. That's wild. So I mean, do you think college is a big reason you're seeing a lot of young guys making it up to the elites and the Bass Pro Tour and not making it exactly this year in the recent years, but doing so well? What's his name? Marshall Robinson, maybe. Did he fish in college?
He didn't go to college. He actually came straight out of high school and went to the Toyota Series. I mean, it's definitely talented kid.
Yeah, no doubt. But I mean, I think I definitely agree with your thoughts too. I think college is like the perfect kind of pathway to like bridge the gap between high school and the next level.
Well, and one thing associated with it too, and everybody likes to attribute it to the travel experience and traveling around and stuff like that. And it's definitely a huge part, but it's also the group and the knowledge base that you're around. Like for us, we've got 30 guys on the team from all different parts of the country. And so you meet people who have knowledge in different areas and different skill sets than you, and you can pick up so much with that crowd that you're around for 4 years, you know?
Oh yeah. I can't even imagine. And not even just the people on your team, but the buddies you make traveling all across the country, I'm sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Do you have a favorite / memorable co-angler story? That's a good question. That's a good question.
Yeah, I think I might be being baited a little bit here. I actually practiced with Hunter Hamilton down on Toledo Bend, and so the last day of practice, we had been fishing down the lake, and I wasn't doing very good. And my travel partner Hugh gave me a call just a few hours left of practice, and he was like, "Man, you need to run up the river and check this deal out. I think it's going down." And so I run way up the river and didn't have enough gas to hardly even be thinking about it. And I don't know how me and Hunter made it back to the boat ramp that day. I could have swore we'd run out of gas and be late, but I started wondering. I'm not 100% convinced that a boat requires gas to run anymore. I think that might be a myth.
Running on fumes.
I think I was, yeah.
But did you catch him up there?
Yeah, and I actually started the tournament up there, and I've been debating on launching a YouTube video because, man, the fish that I lost that first day of the tournament, I needed somebody to slap me and wake me up because I did not fish clean that day.
Man, it happens though. That's a tough one.
Yeah, man, that's the thing is you learn so much. Like I didn't have a good year. I'll be the first to say, like, this year kicked my butt. I traveled to a bunch of new places. There's only a handful of places I'd ever been. And so on paper, like did not have a successful season. But when you look at it in the grand scheme of a long career, this year was probably the best year I ever could have had because I learned so much, man. Like, and I always tell people, like, there's no way to learn faster than just getting your teeth kicked in, and that definitely happened this year. And it makes you take a step back and say, like, can I prepare better? Do I need to do more study before I go? What techniques do I need to really embrace and get better at? And this year, man, it was one of those years where, there was a few tournaments I could have done well and didn't have the right breaks and stuff like that. But a lot of times it was something that I could look at and be like, I've just never done that. I've never spent the time to learn it. And so I need to fill those gaps in my game.
Yeah, for sure. And again, like fishing, not having a ton of experience on places, traveling the opens, college kind of gives you that opportunity to travel to all these different places and learn all these different techniques and bodies of water.
Yeah, and it's stress free too because like, when you're doing it at the opens level, I mean, I've betting a lot of money on catching some fish. And so there's a little bit of stress associated with it. And in college, like you're with all your buddies and, at least at Carson Newman, like you're not really coming out of your own pocket. So if the week doesn't go great, it's not the end of the world. Obviously you want to catch them. We have big team goals and everybody has personal goals. But ultimately you can kind of fish free because, you don't have a ton of stress associated with it, which is cool.
Absolutely. Kind of talk to us about how that's set up at Carson Newman with traveling so much and what gets what expenses are paid for. Kind of just give us a rundown of the program.
Well, I'm going to give you the Bass Lane signature answer right here. So
there we go.
This is Jacob Frazier's quotes, and I don't usually publicize this. This is a one-time offering. But Jacob Frazier tells everybody that the only thing that Carson Newman does not pay for when we travel is Skol and Red Bull. And there's a little bit of truth in that because, boat gas and truck gas, license, hotel, 3 meals a day, boat snacks, entry fees. I mean, literally everything besides, the stuff that my boss would yell at me about. Pretty much the rest of that gets covered on the trip. So those guys, I think sometimes they might be a little bit spoiled, but man, I'm proud to be able to help them out with stuff like that.
For sure. Why do you think? Is there any certain key to so much success already this season, or Is it just laid out good?
Yeah. The honest answer is we've got a lot of guys who really trust each other, and they're all great fishermen. And I think you can kind of point to the culture that we've got where everybody is friends and everybody's hanging out outside of the tournaments. And so when we travel to a place, you've got this level of trust where they're talking about what's going on. They're able to break down bodies of water quicker than we have in the past because you've got good communication. And they know that their buddies, if you tell somebody something, they're not going to go and jump on your fish, and it's not going to be, a situation where you have to question your teammates' intentions. Like, we've just got a really close knit group that works well together and trusts each other. And that, starts with good leadership, and it works its way all the way down. So I think that's a big part of why we've been successful this fall so far.
For sure. And that makes perfect sense,
Yeah.
Especially, and I say this to people when we talk about it, but like, I think college is probably a little bit different than high school. Like, in high school you have teams, like, and
Yep.
I fish for Mount Juliet, and we're a team, and I love all the guys on the team, absolutely. But I think it's in college, like, man, you live with those guys and you travel everywhere together. It's like, it's more of a family than it is a team, seems like.
Yeah, it is, because that you come from all different parts of the world. Like, we've got guys from Montana, from New Jersey, from Florida, from Texas. And so they all come together, and the only thing they've got to kind of unify around is they all have the same passions. And so when you come from all these different places, and everybody respects each other, because in high school, a lot of times you've got 1, 2, maybe 3 good anglers on a team. And in college, all the guys that we've got were probably one of the best 1, 2, or 3 anglers on their high school team. And so there's this kind of mutual level of respect and understanding that, everybody's got something to offer too, which helps.
Oh yeah. That makes perfect sense. I never even thought about it that way. It's like college, it's like, I think you see so many people doing so good in college. It's like, of course, high school fishing, everybody's good, but like, college is just the best of the best thrown into a bunch of different tournaments. You're like, oh my gosh, like, these guys are good.
Yeah.
Oh man, JJ LaRue's on here. I didn't think he was gonna. He called me earlier and made sure it was gonna be okay if that he wasn't gonna be on tonight. But Mr. JJ is on. Before we get to his comment, do you fish any professional tournaments in between the college tournaments?
Yes. So over the past few years, the Bassmaster Opens have kind of been my stomping grounds, and I've fished those events and definitely stay busy. With the 15 to 20 college events that we fish, plus 9 touring events with the Opens. We're very fortunate too. I mean, I got to give a lot of credit to. We got Jacob Frazier on staff as a full-time assistant, and then Drew Traffenstedt. He's also a graduate assistant, and so having those guys to kind of hold down the fort while I'm able to travel and fish, man, I couldn't do it without them. So I'm very thankful for those guys.
So some of your tournaments do overlap with college tournaments.
Yeah, we have a few. I try to pick, like when I first started fishing the Opens, it was, I only kind of fished what division did not overlap. But when I kind of made that jump to fish all 9, there was a couple that did overlap each year, and that's where, having Jacob that can go with the team and kind of make sure everything's how it should be done is important. I always hate when I miss though, man, because that's doing life with the guys, and I like being there for them on the road. I know what they go through. I know how hard they work when we're on campus, and I ask a lot out of them, and so it always stinks when I'm not there to have the fun on the road. But yeah, there's a few of those each year.
For sure. Is the Carson Newman camp still on for this winter?
So it's actually, we're going to be moving that to the spring. We had that December 4th day. I know there was a high school tournament, and there was also the branding card tournament, which draws a lot of local high schoolers. And so I didn't want people to have to choose between, different events and things like that. If we pushed it back into December, our guys always go home for Christmas break, and so we're actually going to look at probably mid-January as a date for that camp.
Good deal. Explain what the Carson Newman camp is.
Yeah, that's a day essentially where we open it up to high school and middle school anglers to come out. and our guys on the team teach seminars. And, it's kind of a two-part thing. For one, we have some competitions and some fun, and then we have the seminar portion. But more than what you learn fishing-wise or what you learn technique-wise, it's kind of an opportunity to be around guys at the college level. And to kind of, I always use it as like, if you're looking at colleges, like, come hang out with some of the guys on the team, learn what the culture is about, look at how we do things, and just see if that's something that, that could work for you. So it's kind of a three-part deal. You've got the competition, you get to see all your high school buddies, you get to learn from college anglers, and also just enjoy being around the team.
Yeah. I think I've went to 2 or 3 camps.
You've been
to,
I think 3.
It's always a good time. It's always a good time. Then definitely, it's more than just the competitions and hanging out with the guys, but you do learn. They're actually sitting right over there. I've got my notebook, so all my notes written down. Okay, JJ had some good questions for us. What's the best advice you can give a younger high school angler looking to fish in the collegiate level?
Yeah. Man, I'm reading that question. That's a really good 2-part question there. The best advice that I can give somebody is to always be eager to learn. And really, it's like anything else in life. If you've got a goal, you need to know what that goal is, have it written down, and work towards it really hard. And so if you're a high school angler that wants to fish in college, in today's world, you've got to realize that everybody's working really hard. Everybody wants to fish in college for the most part. And so what are you going to do to separate yourself? You've got to learn to make tournament decisions. You've got to, spend time on the water, learning new things and stuff like that. And so really, like, just try to separate yourself. And then that comes through hard work, in my opinion. Kind of the second piece of that, and what do you see young anglers doing wrong that are wanting to pursue collegiate fishing? I would say waiting too long is probably the most common thing that I see that makes it really hard. Like for us this year, and this is going to be kind of a cocky, conceited answer, and I don't like sounding this way, but, as of right now, we're one of the top college fishing programs in the country, and we're looking to bring in about 10 guys. And so for us, like, you're trying to find the 10 best fits for Carson Newman that you can in the whole country. And so if you want to be one of those guys, like, it's really hard when we get, seniors reaching out in March of their senior year. Like, usually by then we've got a list of 20 or 30 guys that we're already trying to narrow down to 10, and so starting early and just really making those connections with the colleges that you're interested in is really important.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. Good questions too. Thanks for hopping on, JJ. When you're recruiting, are you mainly looking at tournament stats, or is there more to it?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely more to it. I would say kind of the first thing that we look at is probably tournament stats. Like, we like to see, somebody that has caught them in the past. But if that's all you have, that's not a good thing. The second kind of layer is you look down at character, and you look at, okay, so he's got good tournament finishes. Why is that? Does he know how to make decisions? Is he comfortable operating his boat? Or is there an outside factor that might be playing? And so we really try to dive into the whole, peel back all the different layers of the onion and try to find somebody that we think has good work ethic, good character, is going to be a good part of our culture, because we talk about, a big reason that we have so much success is the guys like each other and they trust each other and they work together. And so you got to find somebody that fits well into that culture. And so, tournament stats is obviously important, but, there's been a lot of really good fishermen come through Carson Newman that didn't win state championships, that came here and did really, really well. So.
Gotcha. That's good stuff too.
Yeah. Good questions.
Yeah, dude, they're rolling in. We've got a couple more. How many of your anglers fish each tournament?
That's kind of a tough question. It really depends on how the schedule lays out for the year. For instance, at Lake Hartwell this year, we took the whole team, and so we had 14 boats there with 28 anglers. If you look at the spring, like I'm looking at it right here, there's a couple weeks in April where we're likely going to have consecutive weeks of travel. And so in those situations, a lot of times what we do is we send half the team to one event, and then next week we'll send the other half of the team. And so, it's kind of just playing the game of how much school you can miss and still pass your classes, and all the different. There's a lot of different aspects to it there.
Yeah, you definitely got to keep up the schoolwork. Kind of forget about that sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what one of the guys told me. He said, "I didn't come to play school, but unfortunately, you still got to pass your classes."
Oh yeah, that's definitely part of it. How do you, as a coach, go about pairing up your anglers?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. We so when you come in your freshman fall, really every fall, what we do is we have inter-squad tournaments, and in those tournaments you fish with somebody new each week. And so I may have ideas for who fishes good together, but really through those inter-squad tournaments, at our team size around 30, we're able to be really intentional with 3 coaches and a 30-person roster. After all those tournaments, we can spend one-on-one time with all the guys and say, okay, how did you enjoy fishing? Presley, how did you enjoy fishing with Trevor? How did you enjoy fishing with Easton? Do you think that your styles match up well together? Do you see that being a competitive team? And so we're able to kind of walk through that process week by week until we finally find a fit that we think is competitive. And it changes. Sometimes guys fish together for a year and then decide, man, like, we kind of butt heads a little bit. We both want to run our boat, and it's completely fine. Like, it's, the big part is open communication. And if you're not happy, like, you got to talk about it. We're all adults. So we can figure that out.
Yep. That's right. That's a good question and good answer too.
Yeah.
Wayne Rose asked, how do you see the kayak series growing? And I think this is a part that gets overlooked big time, but y'all have a heck of a kayak program.
Yeah, we do, man. Jacob Frazier, so he's responsible for that kayak team primarily, and he's done a great job with it. Ewing Minor, Jackson Orr, those 2 guys came in to fish on the boat side and got exposed to that kayak scene and have really kind of been pioneers for us in growing that side of our department. And man, it's really cool because I tell guys all the time, like, I'm not a kayak fisherman. I've never really been in one, but I can tell you that Ewing has won more money out of a kayak than me and all the guys on my team combined have probably won out of a bass boat. And so it's a real option for guys that, in our opinion, like, if you're in high school and maybe you don't have access to, a boat to take to college and stuff like that, like, we have school kayaks that we own and put graphs on, and we travel just like the boat team does. They travel all around the country, everything paid for, and get to fish and get an education. And so, I'm a little bit surprised it's been kind of slow growing so far, because in my mind, like, you wouldn't have had to sell me twice on that when I was going to college.
Oh yeah. But I think it's growing a little bit, maybe slow and steady, but like,
yeah.
I hear about it more and more and more. And maybe not just in college, but like just kayak fishing in general. I mean, it's growing a bunch.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a new market, like the sponsor money is kind of fresh on that side. In the bass boat world, it's kind of been where it's been. On the kayak side, it's all fresh. And so it's definitely something that I think will continue to grow over the coming years, especially with, I don't talk politics, but the way the economy and things are kind of turning, I think kayak fishing will become an even more realistic option.
Yeah, for sure. Man, y'all are rolling in the good questions. This got some big words in it. I'm not even sure if I understand half of them. I've noticed you've recruited some anglers from different parts of the country. Do you have a strategy for cross-training your anglers to build diversity among the team?
I think Lance has read my marketing material somewhere, and I think he's used those words out of my material. But now, in all seriousness, yeah, that's a big part of what we do. I mean, with there's in the fishing world, there's only a few areas that really get hit every year with tournaments. I mean, you got the South Carolina area, you've got northern smallmouth, you've got Florida, you've kind of got highland reservoirs, and you've kind of got the Midwest area, Table Rock, Ozarks, Dardanelle, places like that. And so a big part of what we try to do is have a balance of guys who are good at different stuff, right? Like, you want to recruit a few Tennessee River guys, you want to recruit a few northern smallmouth guys, a few Florida guys. And the hope is that everywhere we travel, you have somebody that kind of has an idea for what's going on. And it doesn't look like waypoints and stuff like that. But what it looks like is, that the techniques and the baits you need to have and stuff like that kind of starts to spread through the team. I mean, I look at what Kaz Anderson has done for our program with his knowledge of Chatoog and Hartwell and Lanier and just herring fish in general. His skill set and his knowledge has kind of slowly started to permeate through the team, which has resulted in a whole team that kind of understands the style of fishing now. And so, it's definitely a big part of what we do when we recruit. It's kind of the secret sauce, though, Lance. Lance is going to go coach a college team now and try to come up against me.
He's got into some of your notebooks or something.
Yeah,
those are some Hunter sales words. Griffin Heffington, Coach, how hard are you pushing those boys to spend every second of free time with FFS, the OG bank beater?
Yeah, well, Griffin, he can't talk too much about the bank beater. He won him a Toyota Series this year, exclusively looking at Liv Scope, and so I think he's joined the new era.
Sounds like it.
I miss having old Griffin around, though, man. He was a good one. He worked hard. He was one of those guys in the locker room that, whenever when guys weren't working hard or when somebody was kind of being lazy, Griffin would stand up on a table. This is a true story. In one of our meetings, Griffin stood up on a table and was like, it's got to be better.
No way.
So I definitely miss having him around.
Oh, yeah. He's like the team cheerleader a little bit.
Yeah, except for a little bit more scary, dude. He's got the big beard. You don't want nobody wanted to mess with Griffin.
That's right. I remember talking to him some at maybe the first or second camp I went to. I don't know why I remember, but something about a bluegill jig. That's all I remember. Man, tell us a little bit about the opens. Like, we've talked about it a bunch already. I know, and you might be tired of talking about it, but
no, it's good.
Is it? I'm trying to think of how to word this. Like, is it stressful to have to travel to so many different places, or is it more of like, man, I'm gonna take all these different places and learn them, and then, man, I'm really wording this terribly. Like, is it okay? I'll just simplify this a little bit. Is it stressful having to fish all the opens and go to all these different places, or is it more stressful, or is it more of like an opportunity?
Yeah, man, I'll be really honest with everybody here, and I usually I don't know that I've ever said this out loud. This year, a big reason that I struggled, I feel like, is some of that perspective was wrong on my end. Like, the first event of the year didn't go great. I made some bad decisions, things like that. And what happened is the travel with the college team on top of the opens, it kind of started to look at it like, man, I got to go to Oklahoma next week. And so that stressful negative mindset kind of started to creep in a little bit when it came to like, man, that's a long ways to go, and I'm already out of it as far as points go. So it's like, so some of that started to creep into your mind. And towards the end of the year, we kind of had a break before the fall swing. And, it really hit me that we only walk through this life once, right? Like, God has put every single one of us in a situation to where we're called to be where we're at, enjoy where we're at, glorify Him in everything that we do. And so that perspective, needs to definitely be more of like, I'm doing something that everybody in the world wishes they could be doing. And so like that's something that I'm definitely working on with myself is like, I want to do well so bad. Like, I'm a competitor to my heart. Like, I want to go out and I want to win every tournament. And so when things started not going great this year, I'm a human. It was very easy for some of that, like, man, I got to drive to Oklahoma mindset to creep in. But ultimately, like, when I look back at it, it's like I've made some of the best memories of my life already. I've got some of the best friends through the fishing world. I've got to see all these places. Like, I literally wouldn't trade it for anything. And so I think that positive mindset is one of the most important things that you could have as a fisherman.
Absolutely. So it's definitely more of a get to, not a got to.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, absolutely. And so when I'm getting ready to pay my entry fees for this year, I'm a lot more fired up about it, man, because it's a get to. I get to pay that entry fee.
That's awesome, dude. That is awesome. Well, other than, I don't know if the advice gets much better than that. Leave us with one, if you could just, one piece of advice, and I ask everybody this. It could be about anything. It could be about mentality. It could be could be a fishing tip. It could be literally anything. Leave us with one little thing that you want to share.
Yeah, man. I think that's a really cool thing that you do. I've always watched these podcasts and I've enjoyed that little piece. And I think the one thing that I would leave you guys with, and I'm going to say this because I think most of the audience tonight is probably people around the high school fishing world. And my advice would be always be the guy that goes out of your way to help the people that's around you, right? And I think the reason for that, when you help other people, it's going to pay off in the long run, right? If you're a Christian, you're called to go and make disciples. You're called to witness. You're called to live your life in a Christ-like fashion. And Jesus was a prime example of, he always was helping other people. And so, yep. If you're the guy that's in high school, go out of the way to help your teammate. If he breaks down, like, be the guy that wants to help him. If you're trying to go to college, sit in those meetings and don't talk about your partner in a negative way. Talk about, spin things positive. Be the guy that goes out of your way to be a positive person and help the people around you. And I promise it'll pay off in the long run.
There you go. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah.
That is good stuff. And
that's from the heart, Presley.
That is, dude. That's straight from the heart and soul. That was great. Man, and I think that says a lot about you, though. That was, man, it's so awesome to see. And I think it's, Craig said amen. I think that really says a lot about why your team has had success, because they have a good leader. And, man, if y'all are high school boys watching, or girls, man, look into Carson Newman, because they've got a heck of a program and a heck of a coach. Thank you, Hunter, for joining us on the show tonight. It's been good. It's been really good. Learning about, like, I didn't even really do anything. I just put the questions up on the screen. Y'all did all the work. It wasn't even me.
Hey, let me ask you one question, Presley.
Oh, man.
We put you on the spot.
I'm not used to this.
I've been waiting for, like, on this podcast. I thought we were going to do, like, the hat reveal, like the decision-making thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No, not tonight. Not tonight. Yeah, not tonight.
I'm just messing with you, man. I had a great time being on.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Thanks for joining. Thank you guys for getting on and asking good questions. That's definitely what makes it fun. I love when you guys get on here and just, man, y'all just kind of take it over, and I just throw the questions up on the screen. Well, Hunter, thank you again for joining us tonight. I wish you the best of luck, and the team. Good luck, boys. Headed up and whatever you got next. I'm not sure what it is, but we'll see you at Cherokee this weekend.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's go Eagles.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Well, good luck at Pickwick. We'll see you guys next Monday at 7:30, just like always. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you, Hunter. See you guys.
See you guys. Thank you.